everybody, Sean here. So I tend to do my best thinking and work when I'm driving, so I'm going to open up my doors and let you see how I operate today, because I just got a new battery for my car and I need to get it smogged because I live here in California, and apparently I need to drive it at least 100 miles for the computers to reset and whatever else it needs to be done before it'll pass the smog test. And so I find myself on the road today. And when I'm on the road, I tend to do my best thinking. And so my thoughts today have been rotating around this idea of what it is that I do. And what do I want to share with the world, and how can I help? How can I actually serve the world? And it came down to a two-word phrase: life optimization. Which is ironic because that term is actually in my product or my course, right? The flagship product that I want to create and design and get out to the world actually has the term life and optimization in it. But I have to say, after thinking about it for a little bit, and I'm wondering if you'd agree with me, wouldn't you say that we're all trying to optimize our life? Isn't that what every behavior that we do, every action we take, every belief we harbor, every value that is instilled inside of us, right? Aren't those all designed and put in place in an effort to optimize our lives in some way? Now, there's short-term and long-term. Some people out there right now are going, well, Sean, that guy that's out there shooting up heroin, or that girl that's out there that's popping too much oxy, they're not optimizing their lives. And what I would say is, in the short term and in their minds, they are. Right? And maybe we need to deconstruct what optimization means here a little bit. I fall into the Tony Robbins school of thought that we are all seeking nothing more than a certain specific emotional state. Every goal we set, every outcome we try to achieve, every threshold we burst through, every level we reach, right, is all in an effort or an attempt to feel a certain way. And so that heroin addict or that oxy addict is doing what they're doing, is exhibiting the behaviors they are exhibiting because they are trying to feel a certain emotional state. And they just can't get back to it. And science is delving into the brain chemistry behind it all, dopamine and all this other stuff, but that's not for this discussion. My point being is that if you can agree that ultimately everything that we are trying to do is to feel a certain way, then at some level we must get to the point where we understand that we get to decide how we feel. If I want to buy the giant yacht or want to change the world because ultimately I want to have a sense of pride, a sense of achievement, a sense of importance, right? Like my life actually has purpose and is meaningful, and there's a reason why I'm here. Can't I just feel that way now? Like, I know what it feels like to be proud. I've had proud moments in my life. I know what it's like to be an achiever. I've achieved things in my life. So if that's the case, well then maybe I need to step back and realize that, man, I've already won the game. But there are certain external factors that I want to change, right? If I can get to this point where I understand that the goal is my emotional state and that I am in fact in control of my emotional state at any given time, I can decide how I feel, when I feel, and what I feel. Then why is there still this dissonance, right? Why is there still disruption or tension? And the reason being is because while internally you might be in the right place, you still have to deal with external factors, right? You still have to deal with the externalities of life that are having an actual impact on you. Most of us don't have money. Most of us, are worried about paying for gas, or where we're going to get food, or how we're going to educate our kids, or the state of the politics right now, and so on and so forth. Because we live in a society and because we are all in the same ecosystem, like because we all actually belong to the same tribe known as human beings and Homo sapiens, and we live in this community called Earth, hurtling through space, all of our actions impact each other. Now, sadly, we are so busy focusing on the minutia that most of us have not been able to get to that upper level of understanding how all of us affect and impact all of us. We can't focus on the solutions at that level. We're too busy trying to make ends meet. We're trying to meet those needs. Well, then, if that's true, then how do we change our externalities? And that's what we all are ultimately really trying to do. Well, not ultimately. Most of us it's a dual battle, right? We're working on ourselves and trying to get to that peak emotional state, that peak mental state, that peak physical state, and get the self taken care of. But then we also have to focus on the external, right? We got to worry about what we say and how we dress and what we look like, and are we using the same verbs, the right verbiage. I'll be honest with you, when I say man, the world is amazing. When I use that term man, instantly all of these thoughts go through my head. Oh, that's not the term I should be using. I got to be careful, so on and so forth, right? Because we've been conditioned through our youth and through our life experience to maybe say, look, or do things from a perspective that we've evolved from. But old habits can be hard to break. And so, if it is true that we are trying to optimize all of these things, then that begs the question of what's the best way, or how do we go about doing it? And I think most of us would agree that there is no, as seen on TV, solution, right? I can't go buy a pill and make myself feel better. They've tried that. They're called pharmaceuticals, you have Oxy for pain, you have Lobutrin, and Prozac, and all the other good stuff. And we can see now, at least from my perspective, that while it works in some cases, in a lot of cases it doesn't, right? And so now, how do you find, I guess my point is we're always trying to seek to find better ways of doing things to get us from point A to point B, and we want to do it with the least amount of pain and the most amount of fun and pleasure that we can. Is that fair? Is that a fair assessment, right? When you break down needs, we actually get, if you get real reductive, and we go back from needs, it gets back to the pain-pleasure principle, the dual engines of pain and pleasure, right? You start with pain-pleasure, and then you can go up a level to needs, right? And I like Tony Robbins' 6 human needs because there's only 6 of them. They're easy to remember. And then from those needs, you can build out your values, and then from your values, you can build out your beliefs, and then from your beliefs, you can build out your behaviors. And I like that linear progression. I like the syntax and the formulaic nature of it. I'm not saying it's absolute. I'm not saying it can't evolve. I'm not saying it can't change. But right now, that gives me a framework for which I can look at and view the world from, and give me an ability to problem solve at a level that I think other people are unable to. Okay? Well, let's move on to the next. Okay, so if we believe that this to be true, we're just trying to get to an emotional state for ourselves. We're trying to optimize the externalities of our life and get to a place where those externalities actually match up with what we're seeing in our head, right? The blueprint, the vision, the goal, the idea, the dream, whatever it is that we have in our mind of where it is we should be right now at this point in time matches up with where it's actually at, and we can finally be happy, whatever that means. How do we get there, right? What are the tools to get there? And the first one, honestly, is context. Context matters. Your context informs your strategies, which informs your tactics and your techniques and your tools, right? All of those things are based on the context of what's going on. And the context is, for most people, the externalities, right? Now, most people will look at context from a very literal standpoint. I live in the city. I live in the country. I live in the state. I live in this country. I work at this business. But for the practice of this exercise, I want to go kind of to the invisible realm, to the upper realm of the metaphysical and thinking, okay? And concepts, bigger concepts in terms of ideas that are kind of ubiquitous and belong to all cultures and belong to all people. I tend to look at tools for advancement from the perspective of we are all one tribe. We are all the same. We are all human beings. Uh-oh. So my car just died. Not good. All right, I gotta go. This is that part of the whole flexible life optimization success system. You gotta be flexible. I'll get back at you. Bye.